Everyone has a unique relationship with phones. If you're like 70% of YouTube users, you're probably watching this video on a phone right now, but for some, phones are little more than a calling device. For students like senior John Carter though, phones are still out of reach, and the reason is quite simple. He's been homeless nearly a dozen times.
I mean, the thought process of even replacing that cell phone that had gotten broken in the 5th grade wasn't even a thought that crossed our mind because it wasn't important.
In our age of ubiquity, it's easy to forget that smartphones are a recent phenomenon, so if you're like Carter, how do you survive Fort Hays State University without a cell phone? It goes without saying the first order of business is to find the next best thing at the Forsyth Library.
You can check out tablets, laptops, projectors, cameras, all those connectors that hook one device to another for free for 72 hours.
Learning Commons coordinator Andy Tinknell has been in charge of equipment checkout for 8 years now, and although he says the service has changed alongside technology at large, it will probably never extend to cell phones.
You're going to have that cell phone registered in someone's name, and the accounts are all based on your accounts rather than our account, so.
As such, a laptop in 3-day increments will have to work. Before logging in to do any homework though, the first hurdle makes itself known.
Dual factor authorization thing, it just stresses me out every time.
Duo has been mandatory for just over a year now, and for 99% of students, that entails having a cell phone handy at least once per week per device. The Luddite-friendly solution is generating a bypass code at Tiger Tech, and that means walking to Tomatic Hall regardless of where you are and what the weather is like. A notion which might make classes awkward. Servicer Tommy Ryan says he's never seen someone request a bypass code, but it works. More accurately, it works Monday through Friday at 8 to 4:30. A wake-up call if your assignments are due over the weekend or if you have a class that begins after 4:30. Fortunately, Duo does let you input whatever phone number you want, so you could hypothetically make arrangements. Although I disavow this method.
Can you imagine actually working and then you get a call and they're like, hey, Duo wants to sign in.
For that matter, right outside of Tiger Tech, students can readily access a payphone. A payphone. It hasn't been there in over a decade.
Everything's about profit for the people who are supplying the payphones, and I don't think that there's enough profit there for them to be able to supply those. I think it's going to be a loss situation.
All of that is just for homework though, so what if you want to get engaged? Get used to QR codes. For the bulletin board on October 19th, 7 posters used QR codes and 3 posters used exclusively QR codes. An unfortunate hurdle, but still a far cry from their near-exclusive implementation in the Let Your Voice Be Heard contest at the Schmidt Foundation Center for Art and Design. That includes the poster which calls for an end to cell phone dependence.
I definitely have seen close friends of mine become so reliant on their technology that they can't see when it's harming them, and it's negatively impacted my relationship with them.
Students may not have a cell phone for any number of reasons. Maybe they can't afford it, maybe they just left it in their car. Maybe they don't even want a cell phone for the sake of religion or ideology. For what it's worth, it is still possible to live without it at FHSU.
Just adding another $50 payment for service plus so much money to buy the cell phone itself just seemed ridiculous and pointless, especially when I could contact people for free.
Reporting for Tiger Media Network, this is Ellinor Couchman.